Is Gandhi a hero? This is what we will see today. Part 3. Gandhi strongly favored the emancipation of women and urged the women to fight for their own self-development. He opposed purdah, child marriage, dowry and sati. A wife is not a slave of the husband, stated Gandhi, but his comrade, better half, colleague and friend, according to Lynn Norville. In his own life, however, according to Sarachi Thapar Bjorkert, Gandhi's relationship with his wife were at odds with some of these values. At various occasions, Gandhi credited his orthodox Hindu mother and his wife for first lessons in satyagraha. He used the legends of Hindu goddess Sita to expound women's innate strength, autonomy and lioness-in spirit whose moral compass can make any demon as helpless as a goat. To Gandhi, the women of India were an important part of the Swadeshi movement and his goal of decolonizing the Indian economy. Some historians such as Angela Wollicott and Kumari Jayawardena state that even though Gandhi often and publicly expressed his belief in the equality of sexes, yet his vision was one of gender difference and complementarity between them. Women, to Gandhi, should be educated to be better in the domestic realm and educate the next generation. His views on women's rights were less liberal and more similar to Puritan Victorian expectations of women, states Jayawardena, than other Hindu leaders with him who supported economic independence and equal gender rights in all aspects. Along with many other texts, Gandhi studied Bhagavad Gita while in South Africa. This Hindu scripture discusses Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga along with virtues such as non-violence, patience, integrity, lack of hypocrisy, self-restraint and abstinence. Gandhi began experiments with these, and in 1906 at age 37, although married and a father, he vowed to abstain from sexual relations. Gandhi's experiment with abstinence went beyond sex and extended to food. He consulted the Jain scholar Rajchandra, whom he fondly called Rachin Pai. Rajchandra advised him that milk stimulated sexual passion. Gandhi began abstaining from cow's milk in 1912, and did so even when doctors advised him to consume milk. According to Sankar Ghose, Tagore described Gandhi as someone who did not abhor sex or women, but considered sexual life as inconsistent with his moral goals. Gandhi tried to test and prove to himself his brahmacharya. The experiments began some time after the death of his wife in February 1944. At the start of his experiment, he had women sleep in the same room but in different beds. He later slept with women in the same bed but clothed. And finally, he slept naked with women. In April 1945, Gandhi referenced being naked with several women or girls in a letter to Birla as part of the experiment. According to the 1960s memoir of his grandniece Manu, Gandhi feared in early 1947 that he and she may be killed by Muslims in the run-up to India's independence in August 1947, and asked her when she was 18 years old if she wanted to help him with his experiments to test their purity, for which she readily accepted. Gandhi slept naked in the same bed with Manu with the bedroom doors open all night. Manu stated that the experiment had no ill effect on her. Gandhi also shared his bed with 18-year-old Abha, wife of his grandnephew Kanu. Gandhi would sleep with both Manu and Abha at the same time. None of the women who participated in the brahmachari experiments of Gandhi indicated that they had sex or that Gandhi behaved in any sexual way. Those who went public said they felt as though they were sleeping with their aging mother. According to Sean Skammer, Gandhi in his final year of life was an ascetic, and his sickly skeletal figure was caricatured in Western media. In February 1947, he asked his confidants such as Birla and Ramakrishna if it was wrong for him to experiment his brahmacharya oath. Gandhi's public experiments, as they progressed, were widely discussed and criticized by his family members and leading politicians. However, Gandhi said that if he would not let Manu sleep with him, it would be a sign of weakness. Some of his staff resigned, including 2 of his newspaper's editors who had refused to print some of Gandhi's sermons dealing with his experiment. Nirmal Kumar Bose, Gandhi's Bengali interpreter, for example, criticized Gandhi, not because Gandhi did anything wrong, but because Bose was concerned about the psychological effect on the women who participated in his experiments. Veena Howard states Gandhi's views on brahmacharya and religious renunciation experiments were a method to confront women issues in his times. Gandhi spoke out against untouchability early in his life. Before 1932, he and his associates used the word antyaja for untouchables. In a major speech on untouchability at Nagpur in 1920, Gandhi called it a great evil in Hindu society but observed that it was not unique to Hinduism, having deeper roots, and stated that Europeans in South Africa treated all of us, Hindus and Muslims, as untouchables. We may not reside in their midst, nor enjoy the rights which they do, calling the doctrine of untouchability intolerable. He asserted that the practice could be eradicated, that Hinduism was flexible enough to allow eradication, and that a concerted effort was needed to persuade people of the wrong and to urge them to eradicate it. According to Christopher Jaffarla, while Gandhi considered untouchability to be wrong and evil, he believed that caste or class is based on neither inequality nor inferiority. Gandhi believed that individuals should freely intermarry whomever they wish, but that no one should expect everyone to be his friend. Every individual, regardless of background, has a right to choose whom he will welcome into his home, whom he will befriend, and whom he will spend time with. In 1932, Gandhi began a new campaign to improve the lives of the untouchables, whom he began to call Harijans, the children of God. On the 8th of May 1933, Gandhi began a 21-day fast of self-purification and launched a year-long campaign to help the Harijan movement. This campaign was not universally embraced by the Dalit community. Ambedkar and his allies felt Gandhi was being paternalistic and was undermining Dalit political rights. Ambedkar described him as devious and untrustworthy. He accused Gandhi as someone who wished to retain the caste system. Ambedkar and Gandhi debated their ideas and concerns, each trying to persuade the other. It was during the Harijan tour that he faced the first assassination attempt. While in Pune, a bomb was thrown by an unidentified assailant at a car belonging to his entourage, but Gandhi and his family escaped as they were in the car that was following. Gandhi later declared that he cannot believe that any sane Sanatanist could ever encourage the insane act. The sorrowful incident has undoubtedly advanced the Harijan cause. It is easy to see that causes prosper by the martyrdom of those who stand for them. In 1935, Ambedkar announced his intentions to leave Hinduism and join Buddhism. According to Sankar Ghose, the announcement shook Gandhi, who reappraised his views and wrote many essays with his views on castes, intermarriage, and what Hinduism says on the subject. These views contrasted with those of Ambedkar. Yet in the elections of 1937, accepting some seats in Mumbai which Ambedkar's party won, India's untouchables voted heavily in favor of Gandhi's campaign and his party, the Congress. Gandhi and his associates continued to consult Ambedkar, keeping him influential. Ambedkar worked with other Congress leaders through the 1940s and wrote large parts of India's constitution in the late 1940s, but did indeed convert to Buddhism in 1956. According to Jaffrelot, Gandhi's views evolved between the 1920s and 1940s. By 1946, he actively encouraged intermarriage between castes. His approach, too, to untouchability differed from Ambedkar's, championing fusion, choice, and free intermixing. While Ambedkar envisioned each segment of society maintaining its group identity, and each group then separately advancing the politics of equality, Ambedkar's criticism of Gandhi continued to influence the Dalit movement past Gandhi's death. According to Arthur Herman, Ambedkar's hatred for Gandhi and Gandhi's ideas was so strong that, when he heard of Gandhi's assassination, he remarked after a momentary silence a sense of regret and then added, "My real enemy is gone, thank goodness the eclipse is over now." According to Ramachandra Guha, ideologues have carried these old rivalries into the present, with the demonization of Gandhi now common among politicians who presume to speak in Ambedkar's name. Gandhi rejected the colonial Western format of the education system. He stated that it led to disdain for manual work, generally created an elite administrative bureaucracy. Gandhi favored an education system with far greater emphasis on learning skills and practical and useful work, one that included physical, mental, and spiritual studies. His methodology sought to treat all professions equal and pay everyone the same. This leads him to create a university in Ahmedabad, Gujarat Vidyapath. Gandhi called his ideas Talim. He believed that the Western-style education violated and destroyed the indigenous cultures. A different basic education model, he believed, would lead to better self-awareness, prepare people to treat all work equally respectable and valued, and lead to a society with less social diseases. Talim evolved out of his experiences at the Tolstoy farm in South Africa, and Gandhi attempted to formulate the new system at the Sevagram ashram after 1937. Nehru government's vision of an industrialized, centrally planned economy after 1947 had scant place for Gandhi's village-oriented approach. In his autobiography, Gandhi wrote that he believed every Hindu child must learn Sanskrit because its historic and spiritual texts are in that language. Gandhi believed that Swaraj not only can be attained with non-violence, but it can also be run with non-violence. A military is unnecessary, because any aggressor can be thrown out using the method of non-violent non-cooperation. While the military is unnecessary in a nation organized under Swaraj principle, Gandhi added that a police force is necessary given human nature. However, the state would limit the use of weapons by the police to the minimum, aiming for their use as a restraining force. According to Gandhi, a non-violent state is like an ordered anarchy. In a society of mostly non-violent individuals, those who are violent will sooner or later accept discipline or leave the community, stated Gandhi. He emphasized a society where individuals believed more in learning about their duties and responsibilities, not demanded rights and privileges. On returning from South Africa, when Gandhi received a letter asking for his participation in writing a world charter for human rights, he responded saying, In my experience, it is far more important to have a charter for human duties. Swaraj to Gandhi did not mean transferring colonial-era British power brokering system, favors-driven, bureaucratic, class-exploitative structure and mindset into Indian hands. He warned such a transfer would still be English rule, just without the Englishmen. This is not the Swaraj I want, said Gandhi. Truery states that Gandhi saw democracy as more than a system of government. It meant promoting both individuality and the self-discipline of the community. Democracy meant settling disputes in a non-violent manner. It required freedom of thought and expression. For Gandhi, democracy was a way of life. Some scholars state Gandhi supported a religiously diverse India, while others state that the Muslim leaders who championed the partition and creation of a separate Muslim Pakistan considered Gandhi to be Hindu nationalist or revivalist. For example, in his letters to Muhammad Iqbal, Jinnah accused Gandhi to be favoring a Hindu rule and revivalism, that Gandhi-led Indian National Congress was a fascist party. In an interview with C.F. Andrews, Gandhi stated that if we believe all religions teach the same message of love and peace between all human beings, then there is neither any rationale nor need for proselytization or attempts to convert people from one religion to another. Gandhi opposed missionary organizations who criticized Indian religions then attempted to convert followers of Indian religions to Islam or Christianity. In Gandhi's view, those who attempt to convert a Hindu, they must harbor in their breasts the belief that Hinduism is an error and that their own religion is the only true religion. Gandhi believed that people who demand religious respect and rights must also show the same respect and grant the same rights to followers of other religions. He stated that spiritual studies must encourage a Hindu to become a better Hindu, a Musalman to become a better Musalman, and a Christian a better Christian. According to Gandhi, religion is not about what a man believes, it is about how a man lives, how he relates to other people, his conduct towards others, and one's relationship to one's conception of God. It is not important to convert or to join any religion, but it is important to improve one's way of life and conduct by absorbing ideas from any source and any religion, believed Gandhi. Gandhi believed in the Sarvodaya economic model, which literally means welfare, upliftment of all. This, states Bhatt, was a very different economic model than the socialism model championed and followed by Free India by Nehru, India's first prime minister. To both, according to Bhatt, removing poverty and unemployment were the objective, but the Gandhian economic and development approach preferred adapting technology and infrastructure to suit the local situation, in contrast to Nehru's large-scale, socialized state-owned enterprises. To Gandhi, the economic philosophy that aims at greatest good for the greatest number was fundamentally flawed, and his alternative proposal Sarvodaya set its aim at the greatest good for all. He believed that the best economic system not only cared to lift the poor, less skilled, of impoverished background, but also empowered to lift the rich, highly skilled, of capital means and landlords. Violence against any human being, born poor or rich, is wrong, believed Gandhi. He stated that the mandate theory of majoritarian democracy should not be pushed to absurd extremes. Individual freedoms should never be denied, and no person should ever be made a social or economic slave to the resolutions of majorities. Gandhi challenged Nehru and the modernizers in the late 1930s who called for rapid industrialization on the Soviet model. Gandhi denounced that as dehumanizing and contrary to the needs of the villages where the great majority of the people live. After Gandhi's assassination, Nehru led India in accordance with his personal socialist convictions. Historian Kuruvilla Pandikatu says it was Nehru's vision, not Gandhi's, that was eventually preferred by the Indian state. Gandhi called for ending poverty through improved agriculture and small-scale cottage rural industries. Gandhi's economic thinking disagreed with Marx. According to the political theory scholar and economist Bhikkhu Parekh, Gandhi refused to endorse the view that economic forces are best understood as antagonistic class interests. He argued that no man can degrade or brutalize the other without degrading and brutalizing himself, and that sustainable economic growth comes from service, not from exploitation. Further, believed Gandhi, in a free nation, victims exist only when they cooperate with their oppressor, and an economic and political system that offered increasing alternatives gave power of choice to the poorest man. While disagreeing with Nehru about the socialist economic model, Gandhi also critiqued capitalism that was driven by endless wants and a materialistic view of man. This, he believed, created a vicious vested system of materialism at the cost of other human needs, such as spirituality and social relationships. To Gandhi, states Parekh, both communism and capitalism were wrong, in part because both focused exclusively on a materialistic view of man, and because the former deified the state with unlimited power of violence, while the latter deified capital. He believed that a better economic system is one which does not impoverish one's culture and spiritual pursuits. Gandhism designates the ideas and principles Gandhi promoted. Of central importance is nonviolent resistance. A Gandhian can mean either an individual who follows, or a specific philosophy which is attributed to Gandhism. Sanctor argues that Gandhism is not a systematic position in metaphysics or in political philosophy. Rather, it is a political creed, an economic doctrine, a religious outlook, a moral precept, and especially a humanitarian worldview. It is an effort not to systematize wisdom but to transform society, and is based on an undying faith in the goodness of human nature. However, Gandhi himself did not approve of the notion of Gandhism. As he explained in 1936, "There is no such thing as Gandhism, and I do not want to leave any sect after me. I do not claim to have originated any new principle or doctrine. I have simply tried in my own way to apply the eternal truths to our daily life and problems. The opinions I have formed and the conclusions I have arrived at are not final. I may change them tomorrow. I have nothing new to teach the world. Truth and nonviolence are as old as the hills." Gandhi was a prolific writer. His signature style was simple, precise, clear, and as devoid of artificialities. One of Gandhi's earliest publications, Hein Swaraj, published in Gujarati in 1909, became the intellectual blueprint for India's independence movement. The book was translated into English the next year, with a copyright legend that read "No rights reserved." For decades, he edited several newspapers including Harijan in Gujarati, in Hindi, and in the English language, Indian Opinion while in South Africa, and Young India in English, and Navajivan, a Gujarati monthly, on his return to India. Later, Navajivan was also published in Hindi. In addition, he wrote letters almost every day to individuals and newspapers. Gandhi also wrote several books including his autobiography, The Story of My Experiments with Truth, of which he bought the entire first edition to make sure it was reprinted. His other autobiographies included Satyagraha in South Africa about his struggle there, Hein Swaraj or Indian Home Rule, a political pamphlet, and a paraphrase in Gujarati of John Ruskin's Unto This Last, which was an early critique of political economy. This last essay can be considered his program on economics. He also wrote extensively on vegetarianism, diet and health, religion, social reforms, etc. Gandhi usually wrote in Gujarati, though he also revised the Hindi and English translations of his books. Gandhi's complete works were published by the Indian government under the name The Collected Works of Mahatma Gandhi in the 1960s. The writings comprise about 50,000 pages published in about 100 volumes. In 2000, a revised edition of the complete works sparked a controversy as it contained a large number of errors and omissions. The Indian government later withdrew the revised edition. The word Mahatma, while often mistaken for Gandhi's given name in the West, is taken from the Sanskrit words Maha and Atma. Rabindranath Tagore is said to have accorded the title to Gandhi. In his autobiography, Gandhi nevertheless explains that he never valued the title and was often pained by it. Innumerable streets, roads, and localities in India are named after Gandhi. These include MG Road, Gandhi Market, and Gandhinagar. Florian asteroid 120,461 Gandhi was named in his honor in September 2020. In October 2022, a statue of Gandhi was installed in Astana on the embankment of the Rowing Canal, opposite the cult monument to the defenders of Kazakhstan. Gandhi influenced important leaders and political movements. Leaders of the civil rights movement in the United States, including Martin Luther King Jr., James Lawson, and James Bevel, drew from the writings of Gandhi in the development of their own theories about nonviolence. King said Christ gave us the goals and Mahatma Gandhi the tactics. King sometimes referred to Gandhi as the Little Brown Saint. Anti-apartheid activist and former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, was inspired by Gandhi. Others include Steve Biko, Václav Havel, and Aung San Suu Kyi. In his early years, the former president of South Africa Nelson Mandela was a follower of the nonviolent resistance philosophy of Gandhi. Bana and Vaught commented on these events as Gandhi inspired succeeding generations of South African activists seeking to end white rule. This legacy connects him to Nelson Mandela. In a sense, Mandela completed what Gandhi started. Gandhi's life and teachings inspired many who specifically referred to Gandhi as their mentor or who dedicated their lives to spreading Gandhi's ideas. In Europe, Romain Rolland was the first to discuss Gandhi in his 1924 book Mahatma Gandhi. And Brazilian anarchist and feminist Maria Lacerda de Moura wrote about Gandhi in her work on pacifism. In 1931, physicist Albert Einstein exchanged letters with Gandhi and called him a role model for the generations to come in a letter writing about him. Einstein said of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi's life achievement stands unique in political history. He has invented a completely new and humane means for the liberation war of an oppressed country, and practiced it with greatest energy and devotion. The moral influence he had on the consciously thinking human being of the entire civilized world will probably be much more lasting than it seems in our time with its overestimation of brutal, violent forces. Because lasting will only be the work of such statesmen who wake up and strengthen the moral power of their people through their example and educational works. We may all be happy and grateful that destiny gifted us with such an enlightened contemporary, a role model for the generations to come. Generations to come will scarce believe that such a one as this walked the earth in flesh and blood. Farah Omar, a political activist from Somaliland, visited India in 1930, where he met Gandhi and was influenced by Gandhi's non-violent philosophy, which he adopted in his campaign in British Somaliland. Lanza del Vasto went to India in 1936 intending to live with Gandhi. He later returned to Europe to spread Gandhi's philosophy and founded the Community of the Ark in 1948. Madeline Slade was the daughter of a British admiral who spent much of her adult life in India as a devotee of Gandhi. In addition, the British musician John Lennon referred to Gandhi when discussing his views on nonviolence. In 2007, former U.S. Vice President and environmentalist Al Gore drew upon Gandhi's idea of satyagraha in a speech on climate change. U.S. President Barack Obama said in a 2010 address to the Parliament of India that, "I am mindful that I might not be standing before you today as President of the United States had it not been for Gandhi and the message he shared with America and the world." Obama said in September 2009 that his biggest inspiration came from Gandhi. His reply was in response to the question who was the one person, dead or alive, that you would choose to dine with. He continued that he's somebody I find a lot of inspiration in. He inspired Dr. King with his message of nonviolence. He ended up doing so much and changed the world just by the power of his ethics. Time magazine named the 14th Dalai Lama, Lech Walesa, Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, Aung San Suu Kyi, Benigno Aquino Jr., Desmond Tutu, and Nelson Mandela as children of Gandhi and his spiritual heirs to nonviolence. The Mahatma Gandhi District in Houston, Texas, United States, an ethnic Indian enclave, is officially named after Gandhi. Gandhi's ideas had a significant influence on 20th century philosophy. It began with his engagement with Romain Rolland and Martin Buber. Jean-Luc Nancy said that the French philosopher Maurice Blanchot engaged critically with Gandhi from the point of view of European spirituality. Since then, philosophers including Hannah Arendt, Etienne Balibar and Slavoj Žižek found that Gandhi was a necessary reference to discuss morality in politics. Recently, in the light of climate change, Gandhi's views on technology are gaining importance in the fields of environmental philosophy and philosophy of technology. In 2007, the United Nations General Assembly declared Gandhi's birthday, the 2nd of October, as the International Day of Nonviolence, first proposed by UNESCO in 1948, as the School Day of Nonviolence and Peace. The 30th of January is observed as the School Day of Nonviolence and Peace in schools of many countries. In countries with a Southern Hemisphere school calendar, it is observed on the 30th of March. Time magazine named Gandhi the Man of the Year in 1930. In the same magazine's 1999 list of the most important people of the century, Gandhi was second only to Albert Einstein, who had called Gandhi the greatest man of our age. The University of Nagpur awarded him an LL.D. In 1937, the government of India awarded the annual Gandhi Peace Prize to distinguished social workers, world leaders, and citizens. Nelson Mandela, the leader of South Africa's struggle to eradicate racial discrimination and segregation, was a prominent non-Indian recipient. In 2011, Time named Gandhi as one of the top 25 political icons of all time. Gandhi did not receive the Nobel Peace Prize, although he was nominated 5 times between 1937 and 1948, including the first ever nomination by the American Friends Service Committee, though he made the short list only twice, in 1937 and 1947. Decades later, the Nobel Committee publicly declared its regret for the omission and admitted to deeply divided nationalistic opinion, denying the award. Gandhi was nominated in 1948 but was assassinated before nominations closed. That year, the committee chose not to award the Peace Prize, stating that there was no suitable living candidate. And later research shows that the possibility of awarding the prize posthumously to Gandhi was discussed, and that the reference to no suitable living candidate was to Gandhi. Geir Lundestad, secretary of Norwegian Nobel Committee in 2006, said, "The greatest omission in our 106-year history is undoubtedly that Mahatma Gandhi never received the Nobel Peace Prize. Gandhi could do without the Nobel Peace Prize. Whether Nobel Committee can do without Gandhi is the question." When the 14th Dalai Lama was awarded the prize in 1989, the chairman of the committee said that this was in part a tribute to the memory of Mahatma Gandhi. In the summer of 1995, the North American Vegetarian Society inducted him posthumously into the Vegetarian Hall of Fame. Indians widely describe Gandhi as the father of the nation. Origin of this title is traced back to a radio address on the 6th of July 1944 by Subhash Chandra Bose, where Bose addressed Gandhi as the father of the nation. On the 28th of April 1947, Sarojini Naidu during a conference also referred Gandhi as father of the nation. A 5-hour 9-minute-long biographical documentary film, Mahatma, Life of Gandhi, 1-869-194-8, made by Vithalbhai Javeri, In 1968, quoting Gandhi's words and using black and white archival footage and photographs, captures the history of those times. Ben Kingsley portrayed him in Richard Attenborough's 1982 film Gandhi, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture. It was based on the biography by Louis Fisher. The 1996 film The Making of the Mahatma documented Gandhi's time in South Africa and his transformation from an inexperienced barrister to recognized political leader. Gandhi was a central figure in the 2006 Bollywood comedy film Lage Raho Manabai. John Ubarya's main Gandhi Ko Nayan Mara places contemporary society as a backdrop with its vanishing memory of Gandhi's values as a metaphor for the senile forgetfulness of the protagonist of his 2005 film, writes Vinay Lal. In 1967, Gandhi was set to be featured on the album cover of one of the best-selling albums of the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. However, this idea was later cancelled due to respect for Gandhi. The 1979 opera Satyagraha by American composer Philip Glass is loosely based on Gandhi's life. The opera's libretto, taken from the Bhagavad Gita, is sung in the original Sanskrit. The 1995 Marathi play Gandhi Verrad Gandhi explored the relationship between Gandhi and his son Harul. The 2007 film, Gandhi, My Father, was inspired on the same theme. The 1989 Marathi play Me Natharam God's Boltoy and the 1997 Hindi play Gandhi Ambedkar criticized Gandhi and his principles. Several biographers have undertaken the task of describing Gandhi's life. Among them are D.G. Tendulkar with his Mahatma, Life of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi in 8 volumes, Chaman Nail's Gandhi Quartet, and Pierlal and Sushila Nayar with their Mahatma Gandhi in 10 volumes. The 2010 biography, Great Soul, Mahatma Gandhi and His Struggle with India by Joseph Lelyvold contained controversial material speculating about Gandhi's sexual life. Lelyvold, however, stated that the press coverage grossly distort the overall message of the book. The 2014 film Welcome Back Gandhi takes a fictionalized look at how Gandhi might react to modern-day India. The 2019 play Bharat Bhajya Vidhata, inspired by Pujya Gurudev Sri Rakshpai and produced by Sanjeet Nadak Akademi and Shrimad Raj Chandra Mission Dharampur, takes a look at how Gandhi cultivated the values of truth and non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi is used by Cole Porter in his lyrics for the song You're the Top, which is included in the 1934 musical Anything Goes. In the song, Porter rhymes Mahatma Gandhi with Napoleon Brandy. India, with its rapid economic modernization and urbanization, has rejected Gandhi's economics but accepted much of his politics and continues to revere his memory. Reporter Jim Yardley notes that modern India is hardly a Gandhian nation, if it ever was one. His vision of a village-dominated economy was shunted aside during his lifetime as rural romanticism, and his call for a national ethos of personal austerity and nonviolence has proved antithetical to the goals of an aspiring economic and military power. By contrast, Gandhi is given full credit for India's political identity as a tolerant, secular democracy. Gandhi's birthday, the 2nd of October, is a national holiday in India, Gandhi Jayanti. Gandhi's image also appears on paper currency of all denominations issued by Reserve Bank of India, except for the 1 rupee note. Gandhi's date of death, the 30th of January, is commemorated as a Martyr's Day in India. There are 3 temples in India dedicated to Gandhi. One is located at Sambalpur in Odisha and the second at Nidakata village near Kadur in Chikmagalur district of Karnataka, and the third one at Chittial in the district of Nalgonda, Telangana. The Gandhi Memorial in Kanyakumari resembles central Indian Hindu temples, and the Tamakam or Summer Palace in Madurai now houses the Mahatma Gandhi Museum. Gandhi's children and grandchildren live in India and other countries. Grandson Rajmohan Gandhi is a professor in Illinois and an author of Gandhi's biography titled Mohandas, while another, Tarun Gandhi, has authored several authoritative books on his grandfather. Another grandson, Kanu Ramdas Gandhi, was found living in an old age home in Delhi despite having taught earlier in the United States.